Hello and welcome to another segment of Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. Friends, in this segment, we bring those guests who influence our lives. This includes elected officials, policymakers, heads of major organizations, and other dignitaries. It is my sincere hope that the knowledge brought in by these guests will help our community. Today we have such guest, Mr. Adolfo Carrion. Mr. Carrion is running for New York City Mayor in 2013. He has a very interesting career from pastor, associate pastor, to the City Council, to the Bronx Borrough President. Let's meet Mr. Carrion. Mr. Carrion, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Raj. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you for taking time this morning to come here. First of all, congratulations for throwing your hat into 2013 mayoral election.
Thank you.
We want to wish you lots of luck on that, and we wish that you become successful and make us proud.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for having me. And obviously, 2013 is a historic year. Yep. We have a mayor that's going to have been there 12 years, three terms, right? And New York has experienced an incredible turnaround. Mm-hmm. We were able to sustain our economy in the middle of the Great Recession, mm-hmm. nearly a second Great Depression. The city continues to grow, the population continues to grow. People are moving back to New York. New neighborhoods are coming up everywhere. Our immigration numbers are up. We have more foreign-born people than we've ever had in our history. So it is really an important year for us to ask ourselves, where are we going? How can New York continue to be a competitive global city? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a city of neighborhoods that nurture opportunity for families? And mm-hmm. that's the critical choice we have to make now.
Well, I had to make one more comment here. 2013, if you believe in numbers, 2013 is total 6, your birthday is 6th. So it is a lucky year for you.
Oh my Lord, I never looked at it that way. But 2013
exactly.
Equals 6.
3 to 1.
That's
6,
fantastic.
And your birthday is 6, so it's going to be a lucky year for you.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. It's a good prediction.
Yeah. So let's begin with your background. I know you have a very interesting background. You were an associate pastor, and mm-hmm. obviously, you followed your father's footsteps, and then you jumped into politics. So it's a different world. Like pastor is a different world, and politics is a different world. So
yes, and well, Raj, a lot happened between the time that my parents got to the United States and to New York mm-hmm. in the 1950s, okay. and the time that after my father served as a pastor and a faith leader in New York City, our family went through what I believe should be the story that happens to immigrant families. Mm-hmm. They went from modest, almost poverty, mm-hmm. to the middle class in less than 20 years. Wow. And we went from living in Williamsburg in South 2nd Street in Brooklyn mm-hmm. to the Lower East Side of Manhattan, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. to buying a home, our very own home in the Northeast Bronx in 1969. Wow. And they got here in the 1950s. So there was a very quick period where we seized an opportunity. Mm-hmm. They had 4 children. The public schools were working. They obviously mm-hmm. educated us and prepared us to be competitive. Mm-hmm. All of my mm-hmm. sisters have been successful, have mm-hmm. great careers. Mm-hmm. They're all professionals. Mm-hmm. But that didn't happen by accident. It happened because there was a nurturing environment, a nurturing family, a hard-working family that really made a commitment to success. And for me, before I got to politics, I became a city planner. So I'm an urban planner by profession, and I worked for the Department of City Planning. And while I was working for the Department of City Planning in the West Bronx, right. trying to figure out how to solve the problems of a relatively low-income community, mm-hmm. high crime, high unemployment, mm-hmm. but a lot of good, sort of a good skeleton. Mm-hmm. We had Fordham Road with 1 million square feet of commercial retail space. Mm-hmm. We had a good transportation infrastructure. It was well located in the city, but the neighborhood was not what it needed to be. So I got an opportunity to work very closely with that neighborhood, with the businesses, with the people, working on schools, housing, and all that. And I really began to learn how the city worked and how decisions were made. And I thought it was important for me to go to the next step beyond being a city planner. I also served as a school teacher before I was a city planner. So I've had a number of chapters in my development. And then after I ran for city council because I felt very compelled that we needed to change the conversation to say that the best social program is a job. And that what we needed was to get those people in that neighborhood on the economic ladder and beginning to climb an economic ladder. And the only way we could do that is if we had to deal with the schools in the neighborhood. So I paid a lot of attention to the schools, and I ran a campaign saying, you know what? The best social program is a job. What you want for your kids is a good education so they can compete in the American economy. And that was the start of my political career, and I was successful. In 1997.
Right.
I served for one term in the city council, had a very successful term in the city council, and after one term I ran for borough president of the Bronx. And you know what, Raj, I said exactly the same thing that I'm saying to New Yorkers today, that I said when I was running for city council. I believe the best social program is a job. I believe that the single most important responsibility of government is to ensure a quality public education system that prepares citizens, real citizens, to participate in American democracy and to own American democracy and to have the skills to work in a modern economy. And I know you know about a modern economy because you're obviously in the information technology business. And so much of the opportunity in the next chapter for New York is in being able to prepare the workforce precisely for IT, because that's the new economy, that's the new global economy. Everything will rely on information and technology, and unfortunately, we continue to fail miserably in preparing the kids in our public school system to compete in the modern economy.
So what is lacking?
You know, I believe what's lacking is the rigor of a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics curriculum. I think what's lacking is that there has been teacher training. The teachers are not prepared to teach that important material. I think there is a lack of connection between the school setting and the workplace and what's happening in the industries in the world and in New York. I believe that we've accepted lower standards for our children and a sense that failure is an option. And what we have to tell our children is failure is not an option. You represent the best free democracy and the best free market in the world. We are supposed to be global leaders and have them embrace their role as leaders in the world economy. So we're going to have to do a lot of work. We tried reforming education with charter schools. Some of that is working. We need to take those best practices and put it into the traditional schools. And we're going to need the partnership of the teachers. We're going to need the partnership of the teachers union. We're going to need to involve the parents. We're going to need to provide the technology so that the parents can access the information about their kids' education without having to make an appointment. It should all be available online. You know, we have the ability to communicate, to provide all the information that parents need, that children need, that teachers need. There's got to be a constant conversation about the education of our children. And it has to be infused in the classroom as well. You know, the chalkboard is a dinosaur. It's a relic of the past. We need to exploit the technology we have and the capacity we have to transfer information in huge volumes to these kids that are hungry for it, and they can all succeed. It's a shame that so many of the children are graduating from high school and are not prepared to go to university or to the workplace. And I'm sure in your business, and certainly in the business that I'm involved in, it's always hard to find people with the skills.
Right.
And you know, to fill one job, you have to look at hundreds of candidates.
Right.
So it's very interesting because while the unemployment rate is high in certain pockets, there are also a lot of jobs.
Right.
And we're importing people. We're importing engineers.
Right. Right.
To, you know, I work in the architecture and engineering and planning arena, right? And the complaint that I hear from my clients and the businesses is we can't find talented people in New York City.
Right.
That is a shame. We should be able to have a pool of kids coming out of the school system ready to sustain the New York economy.
So there is a gap between industry requirement versus education.
There absolutely is, and you know, we're investing so much money in our education system and still not getting the results. I think we need a smarter education system.
So what about the teachers' evaluation system? Like, you know, for example, you just mentioned that teachers are not appropriately trained, which is right. I believe that too. But then, you know, let's say, for example, I mean, if the teachers' evaluation system proposed by the governor, would that be one of the solutions that you think?
I think, look, in any profession, you're a professional, I'm a professional, we all get measured by professional standards that say this is the quality of the work that you need to produce to get the best outcome. And in the private sector, in the legal profession, in the medical profession, the healthcare industry. Imagine if we didn't have professional development for doctors and we just and no standards. Or in the food industry, no standards. It would create chaos. And I think that's what we're unfortunately experiencing in many schools, where we need to apply a very strict and high standard to our teachers, because our teachers, and they want it, they're hungry for professional development. They want to be the best. They want to be rewarded for better performance. So I think we need to infuse the system with a system of rewards that says, you know what, if you work harder, if you stay longer, if you produce results, if your kids are showing success, we're going to reward you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, the teacher, public school system should not be viewed as some sort of a public assistance system where everybody's equal. No, you know, we have to have competitive environments that produce the best results for our children. And I think that's a very important element that unfortunately we're missing. But so going back to the teacher evaluation, you know, I criticized the parties that were involved in that discussion because for us to surrender $250 million of resources that we need, and potentially another 200 million maybe, you know, now that in the fall, is a shame. It's an absolute shame.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And we just imagine what you can do with $400, $500 million to teach kids. So we need to impose a fair and high standard teacher evaluation regimen to our rank of teachers, and I think they will embrace it. And the teachers union needs to stay at the table. The mayor needs to stay at the table. You know, there are no innocents here. I know the mayor is right in the sense that he wants to apply the tough standards, but he also can't walk away from the table of negotiation. And so both sides have responsibility. What I said at a number of forums, and I've spoken to teachers and families, as mayor, I will never leave the negotiation table. If the negotiations break down, it's going to be because the other side chose to leave. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be tough, but what it will mean is that I will stay committed to the negotiations. We have to. Right now, speaking of negotiations, we have these. Almost every municipal service contract for municipal employees is overdue. Some 1 year, some 2, 3, 4 years. There's a gaping hole of about $5.5 billion of obligations associated with those contracts. So we come in, the next mayor comes in with this huge deficit just on the contracts, let alone the budget. Always balancing the budget is always difficult. So you're going to have a real commitment to resolving those contracts in a fair way and in a transparent way. And what I've told the unions is, and I met with with 20 of them yesterday, I said, Mayor Carrion will not leave the table. If the negotiations break down, it's because you guys leave the table.
So $5.5 billion, I mean, you know, whoever becomes a mayor, that they have like a huge responsibility of solving that. Obviously, unions are not going to just leave it.
Absolutely not. They're going to fight for a number of things.
Exactly.
They're going to fight for back pay. They're going to fight for a bigger percentage raise.
Right.
They're going to fight for better benefits and the working conditions and work rules. And that is their role. You know, I don't look at it as a negative. I think, look, the organized labor has done something very good for the American worker. They have improved working conditions. They did away with child labor, unfair practices, a lot of the discriminatory practices that kept certain groups out of the workforce. They have helped to nurture, you know, good environments for families. So they've fought for a number of very positive things. You know, many of the labor or, you know, union jobs allowed people to enter the middle class, and people forget that. You know, even on the political right, people who entered the middle class, whose father or mother was a teacher and a member of a union, they sort of they get a little amnesia about how they got there. So we have to respect that. At the same time, we have to be honest about balancing the books and fiscal responsibility. That the fact of the matter is that we only have so much budget, and we cannot live within our outside of our means. We know what that experience is like. In the 1970s, the city went bankrupt. The city of Detroit is now bankrupt and managed by an outside agent. There are cities across the country that are out of balance so far, and that have pension obligations that they'll never be able to catch up with, and benefit packages that they will never be able to sustain, that they're going to go into bankruptcy, and we shouldn't be in the business of creating bankrupt municipalities. So what I say to the folks that we're going to negotiate with is, we're in this together. You have to help me balance the books. I'm going to present a budget that is fair, that sets priorities for education, housing for all income levels, a safe city with the right amount of police, a housing production schedule that keeps up with demand, an economic development strategy that invests in many areas, and then we're going to have to argue about how we're going to pay for this and the workforce. It's that simple, you know.
It's a challenge.
It's not rocket science.
But it's a challenge.
It is a challenge, and I look forward to the challenge.
You know, because every group, you know, they always have like certain responsibility that they work with, and they don't want to leave that responsibility, right? So everybody has to kind of, you know, to make, as a mayor, you know, you have to really make everybody work together. That's
absolutely. And we all have to work together aimed at one mission, which is to create the city that allowed my family or a new immigrant family to come here, whether it's from Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, wherever, and start their track toward the middle class, toward good education for their children, toward the possibility of owning their own business and creating wealth for their family. If we do that, if that's the kind of city we continue to create, we succeed and America succeeds. And that's what I want to do.
Mr. Carrion, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Interviews That Matter. We are having a conversation, good conversation I would say, with Mr. Carrion, who is running for mayor for New York City in 2013. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, you know, I know you have a very different background in, like teacher and pastor, associate pastor, and then councilman, and then Bronx Borough President. I mean, wide variety of background. And as a Bronx Borough President also, you must have faced a lot of challenges, which, it's a smaller scale versus the city. So what is the difference between smaller scale and a large city, like 5 boroughs, all 5 boroughs?
Well, think about it. The Bronx population when I became borough president was about 1,400,000 people, which by just about any measure is it's by any measure it's a large American city, right? And I think it would be the 12th or 13th largest city in the country at the time. And now between then and now, a number of cities have popped up in the Southwest that are starting to compete and grow even more. But here's what we faced. I was the chief executive of a community of 1.4 million people. We had to ensure the delivery of every service. We had to make sure that it was safe. We had to make sure that the economy was growing and not contracting, that businesses would look at the Bronx in a positive way. And obviously we were climbing out of a very bad period of the 1970s and 1980s where we had crime and vandalism and people left. Our population went down. And so now it was back on a growth trajectory. So we took a very aggressive posture and we said this. We said the Bronx is open for business. Come and invest. We need to build a new Yankee Stadium. And we did. We need to build a new park system around the Yankee Stadium. And we did. We need to take an old industrial area that was decrepit and dangerous. It was called the Bronx Terminal Market, right on 149th Street, south of Yankee Stadium. It was a very ugly, dangerous place, a lot of criminal activity under the highway. And we were able to transform it into a 1 million square foot mall, bring national retailers to the Bronx, keep retail dollars locally, rather than having Bronxites drive up to Westchester County or to Rockland County to go to the malls. Why not have a mall and movie theaters and restaurants right there? And what does that do? That creates the chemistry, the organic relationship of the retail dollars that they would be spending elsewhere, spend them locally, create jobs, raise the tax base, and then it raises the property values and it attracts other investors. So we created 40,000 units of housing in a 7.5-year period while I was borough president. And the reason we did that was because we were repopulating a part of the city, especially in the South Bronx, that had been depopulated by the vandalism and the horrible days of the 1970s. We can never return to the city of the 1970s. That New York City was dangerous, scary, tourists didn't want to come. Now we have, last year, 52 million tourists.
And it kept going up.
$70 billion associated with that. 350,000 jobs in tourism alone. We can't build hotels fast enough now. So we've made these gains. The Bronx was part of that phenomenon. I want to extend that kind of aggressive, pro-growth, positive, optimistic leadership to the entire city. And look, there's sections of Queens that we need to work on. That we need, there's opportunities to upzone around transportation nodes to create more opportunities for affordable housing for moderate and middle income families. Our children should have the ability to choose a nice neighborhood with parks and playgrounds and the ability to have a good local shopping, good local restaurants, good local cultural activities. We need to ensure that we celebrate everything that the city has all across the 5 boroughs. So part of my gesture to the city is allow me the opportunity to create the kind of city that we're all working for and aspiring for, that educates its people, that is friendly to businesses and attractive to investment to continue to grow the economy. And I go back to that original principle that the best social program is a job. We cannot allow generation after generation of people to be locked in poverty and not contribute to the economy. It's not good for them. It's not a point of pride for them. And it's not good for our city and our society.
Yep.
And so, and I believe that if we create that environment, we all win.
We all win, right? That's, I agree with you. I agree with you.
And
right,
and we become a safer society. People are less of a burden to themselves, to their families, and to society. And I would love to see. Look, you know, a lot of the kids that I've seen over the decades in neighborhoods in the Bronx and around the city. I'd like to see them now as an adult be successful business people, where I walk into their restaurant or go to their law office or get serviced by their business, their IT business or whatever. That means success, and that's what we need to do, create success.
I think, you know, nobody wants to be poor by choice.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you know, they want opportunities, and if you create, as you said, if you create more opportunity for people, they're willing to take it.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know what? I mean, that's what people want, actually, opportunity.
What we need to do is make sure that we continue to impose a very strict standard on our education system, so that people are prepared to seize the opportunity.
Right.
And that's the challenge. Every single school in New York City has to be a quality school that you would want to have your children there.
Right.
And unfortunately, what we have now is people moving all over the city looking for the best school. It's a good thing that people are looking for the best school, but it should be right in their neighborhood.
It should be right there.
Right in the neighborhood. Kids should be able to put on their backpack, get on their skateboard, and roll down right to their school, unless they don't know how to ride skateboard.
So let me talk about Mayor Bloomberg. I mean, what do you think? I mean, he has done a good job, I believe, right? I mean,
I agree with that.
Do you agree with that? And now, whatever stage that he has created for the city, for last, you know, the number of tourists has gone up, and you know, whatever. I mean, he has done a lot of good things, and you want to take it to the next level, rather. That's what.
Yeah, you know what, Raj? I believe that Mayor Bloomberg, because of his independent leadership, was able to do things that maybe another mayor couldn't do because of their obligations, the political obligations.
There you go.
And that's part of the reason why I'm running as an independent, because I really believe that the people are asking for independent leadership that says, just give us the results we need for our families and our economy. And if you look at, you know, I worked very closely with the mayor to put together the plan for the new Yankee Stadium. I worked very closely with the mayor and his staff to rezone parts of the Bronx to grow more housing opportunity, to do the mall development, the commercial development, the office development we were able to do. The housing production that we did, it didn't happen by accident. It was a calculated sitting down with the mayor and his team and saying, these are the areas where we think there's opportunity for growth, and then extracting, you know, commitments from the administration to pursue that. So the mayor has provided the kind of unsentimental leadership, and I think you know, look, he's restored a certain amount of pride in New York.
New York City,
that says, hey, you know what, we're a pretty cool place. You know, in the list of world cities, it's
totally different.
Barcelona, Paris, you know, Shanghai, London, et cetera, New York is still way at the top of that list. And we need to remain there. We need to remain the finance capital of the world. We need to remain the arts capital of the world. You know, here's one thing I said. We are known as the FIRE city, right? Finance, insurance, and real estate. We need to become the freight city. Which is finance, real estate, and information technology.
I like that.
Yes. And you know what? That is the next wave for our economy. You know, with the Cornell, University program coming into Roosevelt Island, that's wonderful. Google arriving in New York because they saw it as a fertile environment and the city embraced it. We need to continue to embrace the technology sector. So we need to grow Silicon Alley. We need to have incubators for small businesses. A lot of these kids, you know what they're going to do? They're going to start companies, small companies, and they're going to need space. There's a possibility for us to have back office operations in the boroughs. Not every office has to be in Manhattan. That gives a whole new opportunity for growth of businesses in the 5 boroughs. But the mayor poured the foundation, and now I think we need to build on that foundation.
And I think, because New York has become safer also,
yes,
in terms of crime and all that, that also is one of the results why people are looking at New York City.
And we cannot dial back on public safety.
Right, public safety is...
you can't have good neighborhoods, you can't have businesses interested in investing and investors looking for opportunity to capitalize business growth. You cannot have tourists coming if you don't have a safe city.
Exactly.
Safe subways, safe mass transit system, safe and entertainment and communities like the theater district and Times Square and but every part of the city has benefited from what I think has been a generally aggressive approach to policing. There's a couple of things we need to fix. Obviously, the whole stop and frisk tool needs to be applied. I don't agree with the people who say throw it out. I think the police need the ability to question you, to stop you if they suspect something, but they also we have to ensure constitutional protections. Right. And the stop and frisk policy, by admission from everybody, it needs to be fixed. Not thrown out, but fixed. It should be stop, question, frisk, respect. And the respect has to probably be up front. Right. And it's a two-way street. The respect is a two-way street.
So what do you think of Mayor Bloomberg, he could have done better, or he could have done something different?
Here's where I think the mayor could have done a little bit better. Yeah. I think that involving the parents in the education process. Right. I think in insisting on a stronger partnership with the universities that are training the teachers so that we can get better teachers coming into the system. And I think making the leap, the important leap from the best practices we have learned over time about what we were doing in charter schools and applying it to the system, system-wide.
Okay.
And that is going to require a partnership with the UFT. So I will tell you this. I invite the UFT to a partnership that is mission-driven and mission-specific. The #1 priority we have is those children and our future.
That's the key.
Nothing else is sacred.
Right.
We all need to sacrifice time.
Right.
We all need to sacrifice resources. It's not about our comfort. It's about the children.
Right.
And the parents, engage them. The teachers and administrators shouldn't treat the parents like they're a nuisance. They are the customer.
Yep.
The families are the customer of the school system.
Exactly.
We need to attend to the customer.
Customer service. Best.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Like any business.
And New York, the New York City government needs to be the best customer service business operation in the world to run a successful city.
Let me quickly ask you, this week was a big week for many bribery in political world of New York City Council. Mr. Halloran, Councilman Halloran, and few other people already are kind of, got caught. What do you think? I mean, it's like, okay, Mayor Bloomberg, we know that because he didn't take any salary, he didn't need about any money from anywhere. That's why he could do this job, right? So what do you think of that, those cases this week?
Well, I will tell you, if these allegations are true,
right,
it is terribly, terribly troubling, and it is sad. And I think that where we see the apathy and the disconnect most is that 70% of New York City voters in 2009 stayed home.
Wow.
They didn't vote.
They didn't vote.
So only 29% of the people came out to vote. 1.2 million voters out of 4 million voters.
Wow.
Less and less people are trusting. Less and less people have confidence in the integrity of our political system. That is a crisis, and that is, it breaks my heart, because you know what? The people, these politicians who are entrusted with this, it's almost a sacred trust, right?
Right.
You have a commitment to what it is to run an American democracy, a political system that's supposed to be free, That's supposed to be to have integrity, that is supposed to be about the people and not you, and you try to enrich yourself personally from this process, it is a shame. I think what we need is nonpartisan elections in New York City. We need to have competition on ideas. We need a playing field where you don't have to buy your way onto a ballot, you know, where simply by your hard work and sweat and your intellect, you convince the voters that you're the best person. And right now, the political machines are producing the candidates, and they're producing less than the best candidates. Let me tell you, I know they're producing less than the best. Just yesterday in the Bronx, 2 young assembly members who had a promising career. Both of them, their careers are gone. Totally. But more importantly, it's not their career, their families' trust, their community's trust. And that starts to break down a political system that relies on the trust of the people. I am calling on all of these folks. Let's not be loyal to the parties and the political machines. Let's be loyal to the people and the sacred trust that they have given us.
Do you have any final message to the viewers of this show?
Well, first of all, let me thank you, Raj, for this opportunity. I know you have a wonderful growing audience that is interested in the future of New York City and the New York City region and the regional economy. And I will say this, my parents came, like so many other people, to this country.
Like all of us.
Yes, and to this area. We're a city of immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. And what we want to do is ensure that New York City works for everybody who comes here. That they can educate their kids, prepare them to participate in American democracy, participate in the American economy, have a successful, fruitful life, own this franchise and their future, and the city has to work for them. So it needs a good education system. They need good housing and good neighborhoods. They need safe streets. They need a good business-friendly city that is the global city and the pride of America. That's the city I want to deliver for them. I want to be your mayor. I want to be their mayor. And I'm going to work hard to get there. And I hope that I can rely on their vote.
Well, we want to wish you lots of luck on 2013. And obviously, you know, I hope you come again here on the show.
I will.
Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me at rajamitv@gmail.com. Again, that's rajamitv@gmail.com. You can watch all our prior shows on youtube.com/Infosys International. Until next time, see you. Thank you.